Welcome to Prince B's Kingdom. Greetings everyone, I'm Prince B, and here I do reviews on games, anime, and the occasional piece of literature. I give them a rating based on how much I enjoyed them, with a happy ending being for something that I really liked and would recommend to a friend, for example, a neutral ending for something that was neutral, and a tragic ending for something that I didn't care for and would avoid. Now, there are plenty of shows out there, both animated and live action, Japanese styled and Western made. And further, many of these are based off of video games.
From Mario and the Legend of Zelda to Pokemon, Kirby, and Fire Emblem, even Tales of Symphonia got a criminally short animated adaptation, and Animal Crossing even got a movie. Some are pretty good, and some not so much.
Today, I thought it'd be fun to look at one such video game inspired anime adaptation. I happened across this little gem oddity thing. Yeah, let's go with that thing. After watching a Let's Play on my favorite channel, the Super Beard Bros. The game was Wild Arms. And after enjoying the story so much, when I heard talk about anime adaptation of this game, I was psyched, and I thought we could take a look at it together. That is what we'll be looking at today. Wild Arms, Twilight Venom.
Prologue. Background information. Wild Arms was a game series first introduced for the PlayStation back in 1996, developed by Mediavision. It takes the Wild West and blends it with sci-fi tropes such as aliens, and also typical RPG elements such as castles, dragons, and magic. While it enjoyed some success in Japan, it didn't fare as well in the West, where it was received only moderately well. However, it did do well enough to warrant several sequels, a manga adaptation that we may get around to later, and of course an anime adaptation, which is what we're looking at today. Wild Arms Twilight Venom is the animated television Twilight Venom? TV? That's not even subtle, guys. Come on. Whatever. Wild Arms TV is the TV adaptation, and it ran from 1999 into 2000, and it totals 22 episodes. With that out of the way, let's get started with the review. Chapter 1. Story and Characters. Wild Arms Twilight Venom, like its game version, takes place on the planet of Filgaia, and follows the adventures of our beloved heroes Rudy, Jack, Cecilia, and their sage-like sidekick Hanpan, the Wind Mouse. Wait, who dat? Is that Jack? Cecilia? Who are you supposed to be? Are you Cecilia? You're supposed to be Hanpan, right? And you? Are you Rudy? Your hair's blue, but you aren't Rudy. Who are you people? That's right. This is a complete standalone story with all new characters. After some further research, I was quite disappointed to discover that this ties in more to the lore of the second Wild Arms game and takes less inspiration from the first. If I had to guess, I'd say that they did that because the second game was more recent, so they borrowed more heavily from that one. But why would you do that, may I just ask? Seriously, that'd be like if when they were making the Harry Potter movies, they were like, oh hey, we're greenlit to make the movie, but now I know everyone's expecting the first movie, but how's about we just do the fourth one? That book just came out, let's do that one. Seriously, it makes no sense. Okay, I can deal. Let's try again. Wild Arms Twilight Venom takes place in the land of Filgaia, and follows the journey of two groups of heroes. No, not heroes. I mean, these guys are thieves and treasure hunters, and this guy's a narcissistic womanizer. Okay, enough distractions. It follows the journey of two groups of protagonists that usually meet up by coincidence and end up aiding each other. Group 1 consists of Cheyenne Rainstorm, who is our main protagonist, and who I'll cover more shortly, Kiel Argonaut's a scientist and probably the most down-to-earth and likable character. And finally, Isaac, an obvious XP of the game's mascot, Handpan, and a member of the that. A race believed to be the same as that of the game's wind mice, though nothing concretely ties them together. Our other group consists of Loretta Oratorio, a crest sorceress obsessed with money, Mirabelle Graceland, a crimson noble, a vampiric race introduced in the second game, and Jerusha, another one of these mice things. Lastly, Cheyenne Rainstorm, who I mentioned earlier, is our main protagonist. He is 25 years old and a descendant of the evil race, and has the mysterious power to wield the arms, ancient guns of incredible power. However, after he was shot and knocked unconscious, his mind was taken from its original body and placed in that of a child he occupies from the series' beginning. The story follows his journey to reclaim what was lost and find who was responsible. Chapter 2. Art Style and Audio. Visually, it's actually pretty good. Nothing's great by today's standards, but it's not an eyesore, and considering it's over 10 years old now, that's not bad. The animation is fairly fluid, standard fare, nothing great, but not altogether unpleasant. In terms of voice acting, it's a mixed bag. Some of it's pretty good, expressive, and overall the voices fit well enough, but occasionally the actors sound wooden, like they're reading the script for the first time. This is especially so for minor background characters, and these two, they're irritating. They sound awful. I get they're supposed to be mice, but I don't like them. Now, a lot of animated works don't have a vast abundance of background music, just enough to convey the mood, as well as an opening and ending theme. Here, though, it was so lackluster that for this review, most of the music is coming from the PS1 game. For the background music, most of what you get is generic Western stuff, and while it fits the Western vibe that they're pushing, it's nothing special. Again, we're back to the mediocre. The opening and ending are a bit different, but we'll get to those in a bit. Chapter 3. Episodes and Pacing. As stated earlier, the series is divided into a total of 22 episodes. However, of these, only about 5 to 7 are actually relevant to the overall story, and the rest are filler episodes. Further, while we get a little bit of character development and world building from these episodes, it's not a lot. Definitely not enough to justify it taking up the bulk of the storyline. Most of the plot-heavy stuff comes in towards the end, with the last 3 or so episodes revealing who is behind everything, their motives, and so on. But it's so rushed that you don't get enough time to really digest and understand everything. In short, the pacing is really bad. Instead, we should have gotten clues about the villain throughout the story as opposed to shoved in at the end, after almost an entire series of filler content. Briefly, I want to talk about the intro and outro. The intro is actually really good. The music is really nice, giving a sense of adventure and discovery, and it really pushes that Western vibe. Once you get to the ending song, it's this loud racket that just sounds awful, and it doesn't even make sense. It's just a bunch of stills of a city in grayscale with pictures of the characters on bulletin boards. It has zero relevancy, and it's just pretty terrible. Overall, the whole thing is kind of a mess, with a few good parts buried in a lot of bad ones. Chapter 4. Ideas and Themes. Woo, themes. Don't get shot or you may lose your body. Okay, fine. In all seriousness, the biggest theme would probably be the idea of the balance of nature and humanity. It's hard to see mainly because of how confusing everything gets at the end, but it's there. Am I done now? Final chapter. Verdict. Wild Arms Twilight Venom is incredibly mediocre. While the art isn't bad, it's not special. The story is a mess, and the characters aren't terribly interesting. The pacing is a mess, with the already short series being littered with filler and not enough space dedicated to building up the world, the villains, and the actual plot. Twilight Venom doesn't do enough to tie into the world of Filgaia as established in the games. Overall, I would say that Twilight Venom was a waste of potential. Not only did it fail to follow the storyline of the games, it fails to deliver on its own convoluted story. As such, Wild Arms Twilight Venom gets a tragic ending. An anime doesn't need to follow everything from the source exactly to be good, but some loyalty to the original source is needed if you're going to slap the franchise name on it. The wasted potential, the fact that this could have been so much more than what it is why it gets the tragic ending as opposed to a neutral ending. The original Wild Arms had an animated opening scene, and that looked awesome. Had they taken it in that direction, while it may not have been great, I'm sure it would have at least made sense. Likewise, if they'd cut the filler and spent more time explaining the main plot, this story could have worked better. Maybe I'd feel better towards it if it was a standalone story, instead of trying to tie into the Wild Arms franchise. Overall, the ball was dropped, and that's just tragic.
So, there you have it. Wild Arms, Twilight Venom. I really wanted to like it, but I just couldn't. I was so hyped for the original game after watching the playthrough that this just couldn't live up. It left a bitter taste in my mouth, honestly. It's not quite bad per se, it's just not as good as it could have been. In terms of Western themed anime, there are a lot that do this better. If sci-fi is more your thing, again, there are plenty that do it just better. And if you're a hardcore Wild Arms fan, let's be honest, you've probably already seen this, and you can formulate your own opinions based on it. And if you just really like anime adaptations of video games, well, go watch Tales of Symphonia or something. I don't know. That was pretty good.
Thanks for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, throw it a like, and if you want to stay updated on videos I'll be releasing in the future, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Check out some of my other videos like my top 10 scariest Zelda enemies, or if anime reviews are more your thing, I did some more on the secondary channel that I co-host, Justica. I'll leave a link in the description. Special thanks to Master Moses, my co-host on Justica channel, for help with the video clips and script review. Lastly, if you want to watch some good Wild Arms, I highly recommend the Super Beard Bros Let's Play, which while 25 hours long and they had some technical difficulties, it's fantastic and I enjoyed every minute of it.